Good evening, this is Larry, and I'm coming to you live from Stevie's room. Tonight's discussion is the dynamics of your household and the well being of your cat. Most people, when they adopt a cat, or bring in a cat, or take home a kitten, they look at it as though it's a happily ever after circumstance, like a forever home. It's like now the cat has its new life, and the truth is, it's the beginning. It's a new chapter in the cat's life, and it's a new chapter in your life. And you really want to make sure that this chapter starts out favorably for everybody involved. So there are a few things that I'm going to go over that can help you sort out whether or not this is even something worth considering before you even do it. One of those things is that if you don't live alone, every person in that house has to be on board with this commitment and be able to follow through. This is a discussion that you really need to take up with the other members of your house. I'm talking to you specifically as though you are the one calling the shots. Or you certainly are, if you're listening to my video, calling the shots with how you're going to handle your end of it. So these are things that really ought to be considered. If you have a person in that house that is on the fence with it, or out and out tells you they don't want this, you really need to hear them. You need to hear them out. You need to discuss it out, and it may make it that it might not be the right thing. And you might say, but it's life or death. I don't know what to do. Look, you're going to have to weigh the variables, but you will at least know right out of the gate who's with you and who isn't, and who's with that animal and who isn't. And maybe the cat might charm the person. I've seen that happen, but I've also have living proof in my house of a few person B who didn't like the cat, and now I have a cat. So I'm not saying everybody's a monster, and maybe your circumstance doesn't have a monster, but I've encountered a few monsters. So, and that's something that you really can evaluate right out of the gate before it starts. The second thing, children. I can honestly say that I've seen a 12-year-old child treat a cat better than most adults. I mean, it's just incredible the talent that this kid had with the cat. I even turned to the mother and said, your son has just really got skill here. And do you have a cat? No, not at all. He loves them. I said, we just live in a small place. They don't allow it. I go, well, one day he'll have a cat. I can assure you that. He really knows what he has talent with the cat, and I think very lucky that he has this kind of insight. But I've also seen children that, I used to go to the pet store to buy my cat food before I got big and I had to have everything delivered. And there would always be that child who would go in there and grab one of those big feathers. They call it a toy, but it's not really a toy. It triggers the hunting response of the cat, like it's really hunting the thing. Nonetheless, they would jam it into the cage of a kitten that's going to be they're trying to adopt from the shelter. And when the kitten wouldn't play with it, they would jam it in further and jam it in further. That's really not. If you see that in your circumstance, that really may not be the ideal setting, or it might just be a conversation with the child. Your own child, but I know when I would sit in the pet store, and see that happen, I would sort of hope that family wouldn't take the cat and that somebody else would come in and take it. Now, what if you live alone and you take in one cat? Well, now you have some other factors. You don't have people to deal with. You also don't have other animals that, where one cat catches a cold, the other one, an upper respiratory, it won't spread it. You have a lot of things eliminated from this, but you do have some loneliness. And especially if you work a lot of hours or if you aren't home that much. And you might say, well, maybe I'll take in two. That works well if they're a bonded pair. Um, Three is actually the ideal, but now you're talking about if you're living in a one bedroom, three cats in a one bedroom, it's a lot of cats. Um, you know, you might feel that way. Talking to me, it's small potatoes, but then again, I know that even one cat in the house is going to change things. I mean, look, you see, like, ripped wallpaper and things like that. They put a beating on your house, and your furniture and your stuff, and you have to be ready to accommodate that and really look at it enthusiastically because it's really their home and they're allowing you to live in it. That is really how it goes, and they're being quite gracious about it. I mean, you can put boundaries up for them, like they're not allowed in the master bedroom of my home because I can't. I mean, as a young person, I could. I couldn't. I can't now. See, those are things you need to think about. I can't put my face on a pillow of the cat. At 23, 24, I could. I'm 68 now. That would set me back a bit at my age. The eyes and nose and everything get all like so they're off limits from there, and they're off limits from the clothing room. That's why there's no cat hairs on my shirt. Even though I'm around them all day. You all see in a lot of videos I'm wearing gloves. I wear gloves a lot in my house. So these are things that can make your circumstance a little easier. Indoor cat or indoor-outdoor cat. Well, you know my feeling about this. I've voiced it, but I'm going to share it again. I like the idea of an indoor-only cat. Some people say, but the cat really should go outside and play. Well, there's always the day that the cat doesn't come home. And, I just did a short on some senior cats. I did 3 cats are in that short, 2 14-year-olds and a 15-year-old. One of the 14-year-olds, the family of that cat lived in the neighborhood. None of them are alive. Indoors, you really can provide a lot. And remember, I started all this because I had a neighbor that was hurting them. So, I strongly advocate indoor cats. You know, that really, some people say, but I live in a place where it can do it. Well, look, you're going to have to weigh your own circumstance and your whole family dynamic and your whole home dynamic. The whole point of this video is to get you to think about it. And it's directed at you because all those other members, well, they're not here. I mean, you can play it for them. And I welcome anybody to watch my videos, but you're the one taking the time to take interest enough to listen to this. So that means you really have looking for a game plan and want to know what works, what doesn't, and what has worked for me and what hasn't. And these are things that I hope to sort of pass on to you to avoid hardships for the animal and for you. Look, I could think of a couple of cats in this house that, the person really just who handed to me. Like I remember one specific case where, the father was screaming in the background, and the 22-year-old girl was like crying, and the cat came here starving. Who knows when the cat had eaten last, and he seemed okay with it at first. But the truth is, he wasn't okay. And, you need to know that beforehand. That they'll tell you, and you need to listen. Okay, so on that note, be safe, be well. I'm wishing all of you the happiest with your cats in your home, and good luck. Thank you. Good night.